Welcome. I am so honored that you're joining me today on Reclaim Your Life event. I'm Mal Duane, your host and the producer of the show. I'm a recovery coach for women and a transformational guide, helping women reclaim their lives and discover their authentic voice. This is the third season of Reclaim Your Life, featuring leading visionaries and heart-centered women whose purpose and passion is through their work to serve others and make the universe a better place. Each guest will share how they have transcended extraordinary challenges, loss, and in some cases trauma, to become the women they are today. And from those challenges, they developed extraordinary gifts that they're going to share with you. And today we have one badass spiritual warrior coming on, and it's Peggy Nolan. She's a vanquisher of fear, a slayer of doubt, and she's determined to be authentically creative. Peggy is a published author. She's a regular contributor to the Huffington Post, a breast cancer survivor, a yoga teacher, a second-degree black belt, a wife, a mom, and a Gigi. She loves peanut butter, science fiction, beer, unicorns, dragonflies, purple, numbers divisible by 3, the beach, traveling, and naps. Peggy lives in Derry, New Hampshire, with the love of her life, Richard. Peggy, it is such a pleasure to connect with you today and share this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mal, for inviting me.
So we know that you're a wise girl and a badass warrior and a vanquisher of fear, but the journey wasn't always that way.
No.
So take me to your most painful moment that you recollect.
Well, I think it would be the moment that I knew that I could no longer be in my first marriage. I'm not going to badmouth my ex-husband, just the facts. He did cheat. He had at least 2 affairs, and the second one that I knew about did us in. We were married for about 19 years. And just how it all went down was excruciatingly painful. It was as if somebody had torn my heart out and just literally left me on the road to just bleed to death. You know, to have your emotions to have that emotional death, that's what it felt like. And it was bad. It was traumatic. It was devastating. But I picked myself back up because that's the only thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. How did you discover it, Peggy? Was it intuitive or was there something concrete?
Well, it was pretty concrete. It wasn't intuitive. Although I think with the second one, I definitely knew something was wrong, but I thought to myself, he wouldn't do that again. He promised me he wouldn't do that again.
Oh, promised, yeah.
Right. But sure enough, he did do it again, and it wasn't just this one night stand or whatever. It had been going on for 2 years. And unfortunately, my oldest daughter actually found some emails, and she was 19 at the time, or 18, and that was really painful for me to have her experience that.
How did you feel as a woman, your sense of self-worth at that moment when you're discovering all of this?
Oh, I don't think I had any self-worth. I think it went out the window. I thought, I found out she was 6 years younger. And so all the immediacy of what I had found out was really just, I'm not worthy. I'm not good. What did I do wrong? I went through all of that. I blamed myself. And then one day I woke up and I realized it wasn't about me. He needed to be with somebody who needed him in a very needy way. And I'm not a needy person. And he didn't understand the difference between need and want. And it didn't help that he was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. So when I found that out, I knew it had nothing to do with me. Yeah. Nothing.
Why, as women, when something like this happens in our lives, do we take it on that there's something wrong with us and that we're not worthy. Why do we do that? When it,
That's such a and long time trying to figure that piece of it out. I think by and large, we as women take on a caretaking role. And if we don't have somebody that we can take care of, something that we have to work on to fix, then maybe that plays into it, that if we're no longer caretaking, where's our self-worth? But there's this wonderful book. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's by Melody Beatty. It's called The Language of Letting Go. And she has a page in there where it was such an eye-opener. It was like being zapped between my eyes, dope slapped upside my head. It was this bold statement: caretaking doesn't work. It leaves everybody on both sides very resentful, right? Me for caretaking and thinking I could fix things, because that's where I put my self-worth into, right? That nurturing thing. And then the other person, maybe it was my ex-husband, who felt very resentful of me trying to take care of him or fix him, because that sends a very strong but silent message: you are not capable of fixing or taking care of yourself. And ever since I learned that, I've applied that with my kids. I've applied that to other people. And I've learned the difference between what do I own, what do they own? Am I being over responsible and trying to take on their stuff and fix it and leave them resentful because I fixed it for them? And just learning that difference, and with my kids, when I made that line in the sand, so to speak, they weren't happy for about 2 weeks. They thought I'd gone off the deep end. Why isn't mom doing this, this, and this? And finally I said, you can do this, this, and this. You're responsible. They're your clothes. If I was doing their laundry, it's your clothes, it's your soccer gear. This is your stuff. I don't have the ability to respond to your stuff.
And when you stop doing that, ultimately, you got a better relationship with them.
Much better. Oh my gosh. We're like best friends.
Yeah.
And
much more real, authentic relationship.
It's very real. It's very authentic. They know that they can call me and all I'll do is listen. But if they do ask for, hey, Mom, what do you think? I'll say, this is what I think, but that's how I would apply it to my life. You have to make the choice that's best for you. They appreciate that.
So you're a very empowered woman from all of this. But many of our listeners who are confronted with betrayal, confronted with a cheating husband, they go right into a spiral of really deep and dark emotions. They struggle to try to get out. Did you use any specific tools to turn that frame of mind around? Besides the black belt, the yoga, the photography, all these skills that you have.
The black belt didn't start until 2007, so I was well past, getting past my stuff that happened.
Okay.
But I will be honest, the fact that I did have yoga was to me a lifesaver. Yoga's not just about the poses. Yoga in itself is self-study. So there's an awful lot of self-study, and I call it uncovery. It's not about discovering who I am or recovering who I am. It's about uncovering who I am, right? It was about peeling back the layers to finding where my ex-husband ended and I began, because while we were married, that didn't exist. I did not know where that point was, where he ended and I began. So it was a period of literally taking a flashlight, going into the deepest, darkest places. It's a scary journey, right? And most people don't want to do it because it is scary, because then you're confronted with, well, what role did I have in this? Because even if your husband cheated or your wife cheated, if you're married to a guy, or if you're married to a woman, I know women are listening to this, but just in case, Um, I don't want to bash men. I love them. Um, you have to own your stuff.
Yeah.
And finding out that I was caretaking and finding out that that may have played 10%, 15%, or even 80%, who knows? It played a role in the demise of our relationship. It really did. So it's to do this, it really takes, for me, what I did a lot of reading, you know. I did a lot of journaling. I've got stacks of journals, but I've always journaled. That's a great tool because you can tell your journal. I have pages where all I did was write F off. And it's just line after that rote line, you know, F off, F off, F off, just repeating it over and over again. And at some point, you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired of where you're at. And you start to listen to your heart, and if you're paying attention, and this is where the yoga comes in, if you're paying attention, you'll hear your heart speak to you and tell you what the next step is. And you take it.
I love journaling. I think it is the most cleansing process that women can use. Because when we write in a journal, we tell the truth, as you said.
Oh,
you know, the truth comes out. It spills out. We're not holding anything back. It is so therapeutic. I just don't know why more women don't do it to help them heal, because you can really put all your thoughts, everything on paper, and then you can kind of look at it and say, wait a minute. I'm really wallowing in this,
Yes.
you know? Yeah, you know, I'm like really wallowing in this. Okay, baby, you know? Good. You spilled your guts. Now let's pick ourselves up a little bit.
It's done.
And dust ourselves off. You know,
Yeah.
we've been splashing around this crap long enough.
Exactly.
And you see it. You start to recognize patterns.
You do. And then I can remember writing in my journal, no joke. Why do I keep writing about this? What's wrong? Why am I stuck here? And I realized that even through journaling showed me how stuck I was. And it also showed me how I can get out of it and how it was all inside my head. It was right between my own two ears. Nobody was doing anything to me at that point. I was doing it to myself.
Adyashanti, who I love, said one day in an interview, I think he was on with Oprah, and he said, we create our own suffering by what we think. And if we could just recognize that we get locked into a perception and we keep going over it, going over
Yes.
it, going over
The
it,
obsessive
going over
thinking.
it. And then the perception is not the reality anymore. The perception is really the past. It's the dark light of the past.
Correct.
And if we could step out of that and connect with the light in the present moment and the brilliance that's ahead of us in our future.
Absolutely.
Well, that's easier said than done. We both know.
Yeah. You know, you're right.
We've been there, we've done it, so now, you know, it's easier to talk
I know
about.
how hard it is. It's not easy to do. I mean, if it were, everybody would be doing it, right? It's not easy. It's really hard to sit and confront your own junk.
Yeah.
And to sit there and go, wow, I created this. Now how do I get rid of it?
Right. So, what was the outcome? You ended up getting divorced.
Yes.
Yeah. And you obviously considered doing, you know, you kept doing a lot of self-reflection and work and figuring things out and how to move forward, because your website says in big bold letters, let go and move forward.
Absolutely.
So there's no mistake about your message.
Right.
Yeah, where you're going, which I love, because that's our whole thing in life for women. We just can't let go and we can't move forward. So that's why I think you're such a dynamo and so powerful and wonderful to be here. So then what did you do?
What did I do? Well, you know, it's not like I let go of it all at once. I didn't. It was inch by inch. It's a cinch, right? It rhymes. It was little by little. I started letting go of things. One of the things that bothered me to no end was I had created this thing in my head where my ex was lying about me to everybody. right? He was just lying about me. And because I'd heard bits and pieces from my kids that he painted me really as the wicked, evil, bitch. And that, that was his justification for leaving because I was controlling and I was this and I always had a plan and yada, yada, yada. Um, and then one day I woke up and I said, well, who's he really telling? If these stories are true, who's he really telling? Because he's not telling any of the friends we had in common, because the friends we had in common were like, Peggy, we're so glad this happened.
Whoa.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I should have listened to the cats that I had when we were married early on, because I used to pee on his clothes. The cats knew.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and I said to myself, well, who's he really telling these lies to? Well, the only person he was really telling these lies to was the woman he married. I had to be that big, ugly person so that she would believe whatever he was telling her. Right? And
Isn't that the way? Don't they always do that?
Yeah.
Don't they tell the second administration that the first administration sucked and was a nutcase?
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of owning what they did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really kind of had a good laugh at myself when I realized that even if he did tell my friends, they wouldn't believe him because they know me.
Yeah.
And they know who I am and what I do and my heart, and they know this, and they would have said, go pound sand. That's not Peggy.
Right.
So, and I got over that one. But I carried a grudge for a while. And there's a story that I wrote about, I call her the pink lipstick lady. And we all need to have one. It's this person that comes into your life. You don't know this person very well. They're friendly. They're nice. You're working on a project with them, and they're just curious. And the questions that she started to ask me, she was over at my house because we were working on a project together. And she said, so how far away does your girl's dad live? Do they get to see him often? And I guess the look on my face, and here I'm thinking, oh, the past is the past. I've moved on, but my body said something entirely different. And she called me out. She said, oh, honey, you are holding a grudge. And I said, me? I am not. I don't hold grudges. Oh, your whole body's showing it. She said, your face skewed up, your shoulders went in like this, and you just kind of went into like this demon look almost. It was just, and it was only for a second.
And how long after your divorce did this happen?
That was about going on 2 years, almost 2 years.
And still holding a grudge.
I was still holding a grudge. And even she didn't make it go away. She called me out on it. It took another 6 months. And I was in a poetry writing class. And it was like a Zen Buddhist meditation type poetry class. It was totally awesome. And I had to write a poem about war. Hard to write a poem about war. But what came out of me came out in about 30 minutes. Pen never leaving the paper. I wrote probably 10 pages. And it was about the day my first husband came back from the Gulf War. He was gone for 210 days. And this will make me cry. And at this point in our lives, nothing was amiss. Nothing was wrong. At least I didn't know anything was wrong. But it was the night he came back after being gone for 210 days. And I had both my girls with me. They were 6 and 3 at the time. And it was the 747 coming in. And they were the first group of airmen to come home. And it was the look on his face when he found us in the crowd. And he hugged his kids and he told me he loved me. And I did not want to end the poem there. But something said, back off. This is where it ends. He loved you once. Just remember that. And let it go. And it left. It left.
Mm-hmm.
It left. And all I have to do is remember that. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. No, there was love there once upon a time.
Yeah, once upon a time there was great
Yeah.
love. So, yeah.
And there may even today still be a buried admiration for you that's never recognized or talked about.
That I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's funny when our oldest daughter got married last year,
Hmm.
there was a moment at the reception. It was him and me and our two girls. And he said something to me, and I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it was this moment where all I could remember was that day that he came back from the first Gulf War. And I said to him, I like to think our girls got the best of both of us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Nice. Very nice.
yeah.
Mm.
So it's done, it's over. It's been
Yeah.
done and over with for a long time for me as far as I'm
Hmm.
concerned.
Hmm. And you're now successfully remarried?
Very much so. That's another
Yes.
fun story.
Yes. So now you move on
Yes,
from an emotional, bang on the head. It's a big one.
it's a big
A
one.
lot of women never pull out of that, Peggy.
Yeah.
That's, they just never
Mal, I have to
get
be honest,
their footings.
the thing that I think also helped kind of, there's a rule of thumb that says that for every year you're married, you need 6 months of recovery or something like that.
Hmm.
I remember saying to myself, I was married for 19 years. I don't got time.
Why waste all that good time?
Right. And you know my story. 5 months after my divorce was final, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I really didn't have time to hold grudges and be upset. And, I didn't.
Yeah, you had a bigger challenge on your
I had a
plate.
much bigger challenge. And in some respects, the divorce and all the trauma that happened with divorce, if you were to ask me which was worse, I would tell you the divorce was much worse
Mm.
than being diagnosed with breast cancer. But it showed me that I had courage and guts and that I was going to get through it and I was going to be fine.
Do you think, because sometimes they say that stress or emotional trauma can bring cancer on, do you
I,
think that all the emotional trauma that you experienced in any way contributed to maybe getting breast cancer?
um, I was that person who was eating stress for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hmm.
And whether it was in my relationship or what I was doing for work, I was in a really high level, high visibility type of job that had a lot of pressure.
Hmm.
There was a lot of people counting on what I did for this particular company. And it was stressful. And we as women, and I think we as women in the West in particular, do not realize how much stress we're under because we're so used to it. We've gotten used to being in a chronic state of stress, and that wreaks havoc with your immune system.
Hmm.
It is a constant dump of cortisol, which is bad for you. It's a constant dump of adrenaline, and you don't even know it unless somebody almost blindsides you in a car, and then you feel adrenaline, right? Because it's
Hmm.
scary. But we live with it
Yeah.
in this chronic state of stress. I have no doubt in my mind it was a contributing factor. Stress is a contributing factor to the 6 leading causes of death.
I know when I get stressed, I always end up getting sick. I
Mhm.
either get a cold, I get blisters on my lip,
Yep,
my skin will break out, my stomach gets a lot of acid, and then
yep,
I feel this burning in my throat no matter what.
yep.
So my body reacts very quickly with a lot of different symptoms when I'm stressed. So
Got to
immediately
pay
I
attention to
just,
it.
I back right up. I start, I have a spiritual practice anyways. I meditate every morning. I start my day from a place of peace, but things happen.
Right.
And as soon as I start getting all those symptoms, I just say, whoa, it's time to unplug.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
And we
agree.
need to do that as women. We need to honor our bodies. These are the temple of our soul,
Absolutely.
and we can't ignore it. You just can't. You cannot abuse this.
Correct. Between my yoga practice and my martial arts practice, yep, I'm right there with you.
Tell me a little bit about your photography.
Um, I'm a snapaholic.
Yeah. Is it
Um,
therapeutic?
it's very therapeutic because I'm
Mm.
not, my husband says that I'm literally experiencing something with my photograph. So I'm looking at not the flower itself, but what's going on in the flower.
Mm. The
What's it doing?
energy and how,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who's visiting the flower?
Mm.
What's the flower next to?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. I have black-eyed Susans that bloom in the summer where some of them look like they're hugging each other. The petals overlap.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that and I'm like, oh, look, they're hugging each other.
Now, I've looked at some of your pictures and they're just amazing. And I know that there was something behind the photography that goes beyond just liking to take pictures. There was something that you're seeing in those pictures that's therapeutic for you and maybe the people that look at them.
Well, if let's see, I don't know if you can see them. I've got four behind me right now.
Yes.
But there to me, being with my garden, being with
Mm-hmm.
butterflies, being with dragonflies, those
Mm-hmm.
are the flowers and those two types of insects are my favorite things to photograph.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have to have a lot of patience with butterflies and dragonflies. You have to plant the right things in your garden,
To get them.
to get them. And I personally think the dragonflies that come to visit, especially the ones that will sit on a flower and be there for a while, they're like, hey, honey, we're posing. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling me, come take my picture. I've gotten my lens so close to a dragonfly, you swear they're smiling.
Oh, oh.
Yep. And he or she has just sat there and
Let you
they,
do it.
yeah, they let me do it.
Yeah. Oh, that is
So,
fun.
yeah.
You have an amazing free gift for our guests. 30 ways to boost your positivity and
Yeah.
increase your happiness. I love, 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 love that. Tell us a little bit about that, what you're going to be
Well,
sharing.
it's a blueprint. It's 30 different ways. So there's each page of the file is a different way that you can boost your positivity and increase your happiness. You can mix and match their granimals. You can do one a day. You can do three a day. But it includes things like get plenty of rest, eat a good breakfast, take a nap, go play. And there's several different things that you can do to go play. I mean, my play is to go to Muay Thai kickboxing. That to me is play. Um, Go for a walk, observe nature, take pictures, take yourself on a date. These are all different kinds of ways that you can boost your positivity.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you just simply increase your happiness. It just invades your life.
We need to all learn how to play more.
Yes, we do.
We're so consumed with working and taking care of families and kids, but we have to take care of ourselves
Yes.
and we need to learn to go and play because, as you said, the playing is what elevates our energy and our spirit, and we really come back refreshed,
Yes.
rejuvenated, stronger. Maybe a little self-discovery during the play.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of self-discovery
Maybe a
during
lot of
that.
self-discovery, yeah.
I'm going to play next week in Maui.
There
So,
you go.
that's my play. So I know how important it is.
Yeah.
It rejuvenates. And we just can't constantly be pouring out and giving, and not bringing some energy back into us.
Well, it's, like the how the airlines do it, right? You put
Yes.
the oxygen mask on you first, and then the person sitting next to you if they need help. You have to fill up your gas tank. If you're running on empty, you are no good to anyone, including yourself.
Right.
And what, there's questions that I ask occasionally, what are you doing today to take care of you? And I'll get responses like, what do you mean take care of me? I don't have time to take care of me. And I want to remind people that it's not about time, it's about priorities. and value. And when you say you don't have time to take care of yourself, you don't have time to sit and meditate for 15, 20 minutes in the morning or go for a run or a walk in the afternoon, you are telling yourself and everybody else that you do not value yourself enough to make time for you.
Yes.
If you don't make time for you, no one else will either. They'll just suck you dry.
You got it, girl. You got it. Well, I can't believe how quickly our time went by together. This has been wonderful.
It has been.
Yeah, you're a gift. You're a shining light, and you are one badass warrior, Mama. I love it.
Thank you.
I just love everything that you do. So, thank you so much for sharing personal pain, and then your wisdom and your light with everyone today.
Oh,
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bless you.